Hello, I'm Joey Haskins, and welcome back to You've Never Seen, in which I showcase a movie you've probably never seen before. Films about terminal illnesses are a dime a dozen nowadays. And with advancements in the medical world, all different manners of diseases are covered. But during the golden age of Hollywood, the subject was still taboo to touch. Some of course made it through the cracks, and one of the most prominent ones at the time was today's film, Dark Victory. Dark Victory tells of a wealthy socialite named Judy who unexpectedly develops a brain tumor and seeks medical treatment. This movie has quite an array of performers in it. Judy's understanding stableman who loves her is played in a small role by Humphrey Bogart. Judy's observant best friend, Anne, is played by Geraldine Fitzgerald. Her doctor and love interest in the film, Frederick Steele, is played by George Brent. And finally, Judy herself is played by the one and only Bette Davis. Although it's hard to say which role taken by one of the most celebrated actors ever is her best, Judy in Dark Victory is actually Bette Davis's personal favorite role. The movie is based on a play from 1934, with rights for a film being bought by David O. Selznick, who was working with MGM at the time. He originally wanted Greta Garbo for the movie, but she opted instead for Anna Karenina. By 1938, Bette Davis had read the play and pestered her studio, Warner Brothers, to buy the rights for the film. The only pushback for this was from Jack Warner himself. His argument was that no one wanted to see a movie where someone would go blind. But because Bette Davis is Bette Davis, she got what she wanted, and producer Hal Wallace bought the rights from Selznick. However, that was only the beginning for Davis. On top of ending affairs with both William Wyler and Howard Hughes, her first husband had filed for divorce. She had been suffering from a nervous breakdown and begged to be let out of her contract. It was Wallace, though, who encouraged her to use that emotion when playing the character, and you can tell in the movie. The paranoia and despair Davis shows throughout the film is apparent and shows how good she is as an actress. The film also has the advantage of being a rare case where it was shot in sequence, so the gradual arc of the character matched what was going on during production. That included the relationship between Davis and Brent. She had found comfort in him and they started an affair of their own, which lasted throughout production of this movie and through 3 more afterwards. But the film, as I stated before, was unique for being one of the first in portraying an illness on screen. And some have gone on to say that most of the portrayal in the film is accurate to real-life people going through the stages of depression. Of course, since this is a movie, they do take some liberties and up the melodrama quite a bit, but it still works. And Davis is a tour de force, but before we talk about her again, I want to give special mention of Geraldine Fitzgerald. She's by Judy's side throughout the film, and she portrays Anne with a despair as she has to basically watch her friend die from the outside. But again, it can't be as good if it weren't Bette Davis in the role. Davis by this time had grown a reputation in Hollywood. She was a perfectionist on set and often fought with the filmmakers. And after a string of bad films, she tried to negotiate out of her contract with Warner Brothers for a film with another production company. This breach of contract led to a legal case that she lost that was very highly publicized. It was after this case, though, that would start a string of hits for her. She would become the second actress to win 2 Oscars ever, and her last win in 1938 was the first of 5 consecutive nominations for Davis, one of which was for her performance in Dark Victory. And what's more, Dark Victory made the most money out of her films up to that point, so I'd imagine she felt vindicated against Jack Warner for that win. Dark Victory was the first of many chances for Davis to get a 3rd Oscar, becoming the first person in history to do so, and maybe she would have won it in 1939 had Gone with the Wind not come out the same year. And she lost to Vivien Leigh playing Scarlett O'Hara, a role that Davis apparently was considered for herself. It kind of seems like every time that Davis had a chance to get that 3rd Oscar, she was screwed over in some way. By the way, the first actor to ever win 3 Oscars was done in 1968 by a favorite of this show, Katharine Hepburn. But Davis, who was born in Lowell and went to school in Lanesboro, has earned her respect in Hollywood since her death in 1989. And Dark Victory is definitely a role that should be celebrated more for its depiction of an illness in a time when it rarely happened on screen, and the sad effects it has on not only the patient, but also the people in their life. Dark Victory is available to stream for Tubi, or you can check it out at your local library. With Weston Media Center, I'm Joey Haskins, and I'll see you all next time.